said record. Hello.
We are two badass spiritual gangster real estate entrepreneurs manifesting our best authentic lives and spreading the good word.
We're listening to Manifesting with Morgan and Madeline.
Hi.
Hi.
Cannot believe we are in number 8?
This is the 8th topic, but the 9th episode.
That's crazy.
I know.
Does it feel like that?
I mean, when we think about the timeline, like it was the beginning of spring pretty much, you know.
Wow.
April, and then we had a month off.
Yeah.
Or more, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that we are just pushing along. I know we've had some hardships along the way, and we just keep making the best of it, and I think that the universe will respond favorably to our discipline and commitment to...
It's true. That's been the biggest thing for me, and I'm loving it. It's almost like the thing that I like wanted to lean out of like, I don't feel like doing things. And I'm like, this is the best thing I could do.
Exactly.
Like, lean into it and I feel better.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Okay, hi.
Hi.
Happy Friday.
Yes,
Queen. It's going to be Happy Friday. Damn it. We're going to make this happy.
Yes, it is happy, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this heavy subject on our podcast on Happy Friday, and we'll just confuse ourselves even more. But this week's subject is relationships as mirrors, and I'm excited about this one. It really isn't that heavy. I think it's a really good way to tie up a lot of the other things we talked about, from where we started with unbecoming and just being open to unraveling a lot of the things that aren't serving you anymore, and then also just like the healing from the inside out and that kind of thing. And then we talk like tests and triggers and shadow and all this. Relationships as mirrors is just kind of an outgrowth of that.
I think so. It's definitely the little bow on the package of like understanding how all those things come together and the easiest way to see them.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
So one of the law of attraction is definitely a big part of this concept. So, you know, what you are, you attract, or what you run from, you attract, kind of thing. Where you put your energy and your attention is what you attract.
Yes.
And then it's also kind of, there's references to the relationship mirror dynamics in psychology and genetics as well. I mean, you think about children, like they have the genetics of their parents, so they're mirroring their parents in that like physical way as well. And then I mean, basically the foundation of this conversation we're going to have today and the subject is that you attract what you are as a mirror to grow and refine yourself, and similarly you reject what you reject, your shadow, which is essentially still a part of what you are. And every human relationship that we have serves a purpose, from the person you sit next to on the bus or the plane, to the cashier, to your boyfriend or girlfriend or your husband or your kid. Every single relationship has a purpose to serve and a purpose to heal or grow or learn or see a reflection. So that's one of the other big foundational parts of this subject. But did you have anything just to kind of chime in from your perspective of what relationships as mirrors means to you?
The thing obviously that comes to my mind immediately when I hear just like relationships as mirrors, and I don't think any further into it, is very, very much what we talked about with like tests and triggers, which is when something like pops off in another person and you realize like, I don't like that about this person. Like that's the first thing that kind of comes to my mind as a mirror in a relationship. But then I think when you dive deeper into it, you can understand how like liberating this is when you start to release the expectations that you have of other people, because you realize that essentially they're just mirroring or showing you parts of yourself. Then you just don't have to be like so upset all the time about it.
That is so beautiful. That's exactly, you're able to communicate what I'm trying to communicate in a
Yeah,
very
you said
straightforward
it.
way. Yeah.
And so it's like, for me, this is a big topic because it's all about that and freedom and liberation, and not feeling tied to things, and not feeling not committed in a way that, commitment can be very good and grounding and healthy, but sometimes we are attached to things that aren't serving us, and a lot of times that has to do with our feelings towards other people. We get attached to those feelings, and then it can get messy.
Yeah.
So this is like really a way to keep it really clean.
Yeah, and it's definitely liberating, because when you take it with a grain of, you start to take humans with a grain of salt, and you're able to practice non-attachment. You're able to take it for what it is, not take it personally, and then it's much easier to have compassion and love, and just love, real deep, easy love for every person.
Right. Have you ever felt like when you meet a stranger, or if you watch something or you read something and you don't know the person? Remember like Chicken Soup? Do you remember those books?
Oh yeah.
Like Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Something like that. You read these stories, or you watch these stories, or even a movie, it's a fictional character, and you can feel the way that you would feel about that person or situation. And I guarantee, like, challenge yourself, like, start to pay attention moving forward after listening to this. If you treat people differently than you would if it was like your mom or your sister or somebody that's close to you, like when you don't have an attachment to the other person, a personal attachment, you love them differently.
You don't love them because you don't have an attachment to them,
which allows you to really actually love them.
Exactly.
the way that love is intended to be used.
Yes, because love really is not supposed to be attachment and expectation.
Exactly. Yeah. Love is not supposed to be attachment at all.
Which is a great foundation for the next point I wanted to make. I think that the easiest palatable way to understand the relationships as mirrors thing is think about romantic relationships. I know most people have experienced this or witnessed one, and with romantic relationships, a lot of time the mirroring happens because unhealed familial wounds and shadow will play out in romantic relationships. So your significant other will mirror traits that your parents had, and then your relationship dynamics will mirror the dynamics of your family, or just whatever your programming is, whatever was normalized for you. And that mirror is shining a light on where you need healing so that you can have a healthy, happy, functional relationship. And it's all law of attraction, it's psychology, it's just all these things coming together. But I dare you to tell me that you have never seen this happen, in your life or others.
This is one of the, we've all experienced all the things that we talk about, for sure. But this one is, to me, that you could be on any level of manifesting and not have done the other steps and still recognize that, like, this is real.
Yeah.
This is a very easy, quick, surface, for lack of a better term, way to understand yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, another just kind of point I wanted to make is that you attract other humans to teach you lessons, heal, and grow. And an example, I like to always talk about narcissists because everybody else likes talking about narcissists and empaths, so I'm just going to jump on the train. But like an example is narcissists and empaths, and this dynamic, which happens to be very common, or else it wouldn't be a popular subject of conversation.
Right.
Empaths attract narcissists because of a need to learn to set boundaries so that they can have healthy relationships in the future.
Right.
Empaths are prone to these people that take over them and run all over them and gaslight them and all this stuff. So that's a mirror for them to look and see, like, hey, this is where I need to heal. Like,
right.
It's not a mirror. The narcissist isn't mirroring the empath. Like, what exactly? It's not like a twin, identical twin reflection. It's helping the empath look in the mirror and see all these places where they still need healing. and such as codependency or low self-worth.
Mm-hmm. It is an opportunity. All of this is just so cleansing.
Yeah.
It's so cleansing when you encounter a human, and all this stuff starts to happen, and all of these are opportunities, like you said, to heal. That's it. If you really, really can just focus on that simple thing, this lack of boundary that I have with this person, this feeling of low self-worth that I have in this relationship, all of that is not about the other person at all. It is the only thing that matters is that is an opportunity being given to you by the universe to check yourself and say, how can I heal these things in myself, which is what you just said. I mean, that's really what this is all boiling down to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when I'm just in my first, maybe second romantic relationship since I started to really truly comprehend that all relationships are just opportunities to grow and heal,
right.
and pair with someone else so that they can perhaps do the same. It's not to get me filled by anything.
Right.
I'm not I can't, you're not supposed to, whatever, like I cannot be attached to another person because they are going to fill something in me.
Right.
We are coming together so that we can build and co-create together.
Right.
And I also accept that right now things are good and well, but we're also liable to change and grow apart.
Yeah.
But understanding that relationships are here for a purpose, and understanding that they might be good now, it might change, and we might grow apart, and understanding that it's not like a pass or fail, it's not a win or lose. There's nothing wrong with you because you break up with someone,
right.
you know.
Right.
It's just an opportunity.
Right. God, how different would the world be if we all really, like, even we're sitting here talking about this and it makes sense, but I'm not always the best at this. I mean, you know, we have to continue to practice to really get into a groove of changing that mindset of really approaching, and how much better would the world be if every person could just have this tiny little vision shift.
Whether it's for romantic relationships,
any relationship,
or parent child,
anything,
boss employee,
yeah,
all of them.
Yeah, anything.
So I was really excited to talk to you about children as mirrors, because you're the mama in the room, and I'm just the observer of the mamas. I got dogs, but they don't really count. Mama. I don't know that they reflect my traumas and wounds and spiritual healing needs, but anyway, they definitely challenge me. So I'll start with kind of like my theory, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. And so
I'm gonna put this down. Just listen.
Aye, queen.
Aye.
So to me, your children are a byproduct of your genetics and your influence, for better or for worse. From the time they're in utero until the age of 8, they're being imprinted by your behaviors, beliefs, shadow, gifts, strengths, weaknesses, everything. And children will be a mirror reflecting your same qualities back at you, or they'll display the opposite qualities you did not have, that they had to develop for their own survival. So in either case, whether they are mirroring your exact qualities, like your kids just like you, or if they are displaying opposite qualities, like you're introverted, so they had to be extroverted to overcompensate because their parent was too reserved. To either way, that's what's happening, and they can mirror your shadow, your limiting beliefs, your insecurities, which causes challenges, or they mirror your strengths. And I think I would love to hear kind of where you think, as a parent, how to navigate that.
Anybody? else know the answers?
Well, so I know, from my observations of you, I mean, your daughter has more personality than both of us combined. No offense.
No, it's so
she's,
true.
She's so creative. She's hilarious. She's like quick on her feet. She's 7 years old. Like, she's a fashionista. Like, she's all these things, and it's like so clear that she is you in so many ways.
Yeah.
But there's other things about her that I know are unique to her as well.
Of course.
And so I would love to hear just kind of your thoughts on that.
My experience thus far has been that everything you said is true. They mirror everything. They mirror you. They mirror the things you're not. It's not one or the other.
Yeah.
They mirror all of it.
Yeah.
And they bring it all up to you. And they don't have that conditioning by the world yet.
Yes.
So that's when you see that personality and that bright light shining. Thank God, like that's why I try to protect in her as long as I can, because that's the thing that I feel like the world sometimes tries to take away from us.
Yes.
The social conditioning of the world will try to take that away. But Adelina definitely challenges me. And the reason that she does that is because she will straight up put it out there. She will like put something right in my face, whether I want to see it or not, you know?
So is that something that like you resent about yourself? Is that a quality that you have that you don't like about yourself?
No, it's something that I love. I love that.
Then why does it drive you crazy?
That part of it does not drive me crazy.
Okay.
Her bringing it up to me does not drive me crazy.
Okay.
Where the challenge, where I find the navigational challenge is how to allow her to have that freedom of expression, because the child don't lie. You know, she'll when she says something to you, it's because she sees it.
Yeah.
There's no filter.
Yes.
You know, there's no, I'm trying to think of a good example. I'm sure one will come to me. And so that I love and I encourage. Well, let me give you a very baseline example. Like, we're at the grocery store and she's like, Mommy, that woman's got a baby in her belly. Well, she doesn't.
Oh, God.
And Adelina says it loud enough for everybody to hear. It's like, okay, you know, but okay, so this is a good sort of way to explain this idea. Well, what do you do as a parent in that moment? You don't shame her. You don't say, we don't say that, because the woman looked like she looked pregnant, to be fair.
Yeah.
She did. And how can I tell my daughter to not speak truth? You're speaking what you see.
Yeah.
And then people are like, tell your child, I get a lot of like, tell your child to have manners. And I'm like, I don't need my baby to be liked. I don't need you or anyone to like her. But she will tell her truth. She will not be afraid to speak up. She will not be afraid to offend people if what she has to say pushes them out of a comfort zone. Now, as she grows, we will learn and start to develop understanding of social habits and mannerisms and that kind of thing. And so we're sort of starting to work into that now that she's getting older.
Yeah.
But like, the point is, I love that she brings these things up. I love that she speaks what's on her mind. I love that she challenges me. The navigational issue for me is, how do I parent that?
Yeah.
As a friend, or as a, you know, my first immediate instinct is like, of course, say what's on your mind, say what you think. But there are times as a mom, I mean, I don't know, whoever, parent, whatever word you want to use, that I'm tired and it's been a long day, and you swear you're never going to do the thing your parent did, which is like, because I said so.
Oh, God.
You swear you're never going to say it.
Yeah.
But then there comes this breaking point sometimes, and you're like, just please, because I said so, just be quiet, please, because I said so.
Yeah.
You know?
So kids don't understand boundaries and the need for personal space and all this.
Not
like,
at all. So
yeah.
that's what drives me crazy, is that feeling. And that is what I need to check in myself. It's like, okay, you're right. Well, where am I? And what it is she's really pushing me to like a really higher level of like personal growth and development.
Oh, man.
I mean, she pushes me to places I'm like, damn it.
But I think that's what
I'm not ready to go there.
that's as a person that doesn't have kids but has so many people with kids around, like that's an observation I make, and that's why I'm terrified to have kids, because I see what happens, and it's not that I'm afraid to step up to the plate. Like I'll step up to any challenge, but it's like I want to be available to give love to the people who don't have mama,
Right.
and I want to I just see the weight of it and the responsibility, and I just feel like called to kind of be the one that's here for the orphans,
I do know, and that's I'm glad you brought that up, because it's something that I've started to really come to that is really hard for me when I have my moments of like when I have my separatist moments, when I want to separate people into categories and make life easier by keeping myself in a little box.
Mm-hmm.
When I have those moments, the thing that keeps coming and I keep remembering, and one of the things that this relationship as mirrors and this topic helps cover is, if we really understood, yes, I gave birth biologically to Adelina. She is my genetic birth daughter.
Yes.
Okay? No denying that. However, if we really understood that all children are our children.
Yes.
And all sisters are our sisters. All people are our people.
Yes.
I have a little bit of a chill, because if I really, really thought about life and people that way, the thing that you're talking about would dissolve.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, the responsibility we have it's a kind of a limited, and I
it's
challenge
beyond our
myself.
genetics.
It's beyond our comprehension. It's almost a limited view, because we think, oh, I'm only responsible for this one little person. So that's scary, because then it's like, oh my gosh, I'm responsible for this one little person. But in reality, everything we say, everything we do, we're responsible for all people.
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, but the only difference there is literally like blood.
And I think that you just made me think of something that I didn't even put on the outline, but maybe for me, I kind of have a little bit of fear, because I see people treating children as possessions, and they're not yours.
No.
Period.
That's right.
And that just is
exactly
another perspective. I'm in agreement to what you just said.
Yes, I understand. That's exactly right. Because they're not your possessions. They're not your property.
But neither is your boyfriend.
Exactly.
Your mom.
Neither is anyone.
Your kids. Yeah.
That's why I said the only thing that separates it is just is a technicality, which is blood, which a lot of people, I understand that. But that just means that we have a biological connection, but we're spiritually brothers and sisters connected to everyone. I mean, we all trace back to the same place. I don't care. Like, who you are, where you're from, where you live, what language you speak, what ethnicity, what race, none of that ultimately matters at all. So a lot of the responsibility that you feel, the fear, is tied to that same thing that you just said that you'd like to release. Technically, even when you have children, they're their own people.
Exactly.
And I get into a big debate with my mother on this, because we're from very different generational backgrounds and upbringings. And she is a firm believer in a different type of discipline. And I'm like, Mom, she's her own person. She's independent. I didn't teach her that. This is who she is. And that's why, if you really ever pay attention to kids, you can have whatever belief you want to believe, and I'm not here to challenge anybody's belief system. But I will tell you one thing that I know for certain.
Your kids will.
Your kids are who they are. And our only job is to nurture what already is in people. Not to change it, not to necessarily shape it. You can guide, you can provide tools and resources to help support what they already are.
Yeah, it's safety, giving them a safe place to learn to crawl and walk and become their own and relate with other humans. That's, to me, what being a parent is.
It is, but that's the hard part that you ask about. The hard part for me is navigating that conditioning of the way I was raised sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In that relationship with my daughter, I'm like, not like, sometimes I know what I shouldn't do, but I don't know what I should do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of can be a sticky place, and I think that's fair for everybody in a relationship with anybody, which is why the mirroring is so important, because it can show us at least how we know we're not supposed to be treating people.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, well, maybe we don't know the answer, but at least we know what we're not supposed to be doing. And it opens a conversation.
Yeah.
It can open that up within a conversation with ourselves or with that other person. Like, hey, this is something I'm realizing. Can we talk about this?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what healing, like you said, we're attracted and brought together for healing purposes. So we don't know what healing they may need from that conversation.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So I wrote out a couple examples of the like parent-child familial relationships as mirrors philosophy. One thing that I've seen time and time again with others with children is this kind of dynamic where the parent doesn't set boundaries, so they end up with these like wild ass kids that just like push them to their freaking limits.
Right.
And so, you know, kids need boundaries to feel secure.
Yes.
Period.
They do.
And a parent who struggles with boundaries with themselves and others, a lot of the time will have a kid that's wild as hell and pushing them to the edge, because the kid knows they can get away with it if their parents don't set boundaries, first and foremost.
Right.
But second, because, and this is where the mirror thing comes in, because the parent is in need of healing this aspect of themselves, and their child is a reflection of that need.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. Adelina has brought up so many unhealed wounds in myself through parenting her.
Yes.
And that's what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I have almost this is almost in a way an opportunity, as I love her, to also love my little girl.
Yeah, you
who
get to
I
reparent
am.
yourself.
A little bit, yeah. And in a way that serves both of us, you know, like if I can help reparent my little girl inside of me, then I'm a better mom for her, because I know how you feel, homegirl. That's what I want to tell her.
Yes.
I tell that to Adelina. I'm like, Adelina, I know how you feel. I'll tell her that. Like, I want you to understand that mommy knows how you feel, and I know you feel frustrated. Tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I understand. And I'll say, you know, my mom to Adelina is Gigi. So I'll say, Gigi used to say these things to me too, and I remember feeling the same way. Let's talk about something that like makes sense. But we do set boundaries, and that's probably, if anything, I may lack that a little. That might be an area to tighten up, but it does heal you. It does heal you, because they bring everything to the surface. Whether you want them to or not, they bring it up, and then you're forced at that point to either deal with it. You can continue to suppress it. But kids, you suppress things in yourself differently. Kids don't have that
governor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't. They're just like, wait, you said no? Well, why'd you say no? Well, what about that other time? Like, for example, I might be like, you know, you can't have ice cream tonight. Well, you ate ice cream last night, mommy, or something. I'm like, you know.
Oh,
man. So you have to be really tight with that. You got to really tighten yourself up to be able to find a balance there.
Yeah, and like, if you actually are a parent, the definition of a parent,
Mm-hmm.
then healing yourself is essential.
Mm-hmm.
And healing that inner child and those wounds, and breathing life into that part of yourself so that you can breathe it into your child. Like, I feel like there's no bigger duty to be a parent than
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's my point about, even if you're not a biological, technical parent, that still is our duty to society and to the world as humans.
Exactly.
So don't feel left out of this talk if you're not a biological parent, you know, because it's not in any way a separation. Like, you are just as important in the scheme of the way that the world works and our life work, whether you have a little one running around or not. We're all parents.
Yes.
I believe that.
I mean, I think about Oprah because she doesn't have kids,
Yeah.
and I think
Neither does Dolly.
I know. That's two of my queens don't have kids, and that
Yeah.
might be a big reason why I don't want them myself. I don't know.
But they do a ton of things.
Exactly.
They parent the world, though.
Exactly, and that's
yeah.
what I want, and I
Yeah.
identify with, and I have since I was a kid. I've always been okay with adopting or being a stepmom. I just have always, because I've been around so many people who were adopted or were I was a step kid that was like taken in. I'm in my stepdad's house. I bought from him and his family that welcomed me with open arms.
Right.
You know, like I have that capacity because I was blessed enough to experience at a young age.
Right. Yes.
And so I just don't have a calling to have a child that's my own. Like blood does not matter to me at all.
Right. And there you go.
Yeah.
And again, whether you even ever choose to adopt or have real, actual little pitter-patter children or not, we can parent our friends, and I don't mean that in a way that
discipline.
Yeah, right.
You're grounded.
Sometimes I think that I have been parented by most of my friends. Actually, now that I think about it,
Sit down. We're in a restaurant.
I've heard that quite a few times. Or put your head back in the window.
Oh my gosh.
We're getting on the highway. I don't know. But yeah, we parent the world, you know. The world is all, like, we're all siblings and parents and friends, and like it's all in there. And that's something that I'm really also wrapping my mind around. Like some days I want to like have a pity party for myself because I'm like, it's so hard being a parent, you know.
Yeah.
And that's true. I'm not taking away from that. Trust me, it is. But again, the liberation, the freedom, when you remove all the separations between us, and you just really like get real with like, we have one goal, love thy neighbor. That's it. Spread love.
Yeah.
Receive it, give it, receive it, give it.
Vessel. Mm-hmm.
So I think you made a good point that the fact that you were brought in by a step parent, hopefully that resonates with a lot of people too, because we can get real caught up in like that, like blood, like that sort of,
That's not my mom. That's not my dad.
well, I'll never forget this as long as I live. When I was a little girl, we were at the grocery store. I was with my stepmom, and we were at the grocery store, and she ran into some people that she knew, and she introduced me, and my father, my biological father, his name is Eddie, and she introduced me as Eddie's daughter. And that may sound just like, well, duh, I am Eddie's daughter. But she never introduced me as her stepdaughter.
Oh.
And I will never forget, it broke my heart.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like, and she, I'm sure to this day, doesn't give a shit or know or care or even, you know. But that was such a moment for me that like opened my eyes on like who and where I was and what I was.
God, that's
like
rough.
I never introduced her as my dad's wife. I was like, this is my stepmom. I'm never like, this is my father's wife.
Oh my gosh.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
So like well, you know, like think about that, people. Think about those things.
Yeah, that's real.
Because we're all family.
Yeah. And if you're in the formative years, especially,
Yeah.
you got that, some kind of inferiority, some imprintation from that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah. And that was a big shadow for me, obviously. So it was a big deal, you know.
Well, that helps me go into the next topic, which this one's one that I can relate to, not being a mother, but also familial mirror stuff, is the black sheep in the family. So the black sheep in the family is rejected because they are often rejected because they tend to embody shadow qualities in their family, thus forcing the family to shine light on their shadow, those rejected aspects of self, those things that they aren't comfortable with, that they've tucked away in their subconscious. And so the black sheep either challenges the family and they get ostracized because they're kind of pulling out the family's rejected aspects of self, or yeah, so they force the family to have to kind of look at their shadow, and they challenge the status quo of the family, and they're either eventually accepted and embraced by the family, and the family's like, well, I want to love my son even though he's gay or he's an artist, and that's not going to make him $1 million or whatever thing that there's the quality has that the parents at first are like, you're not like us, get out of here.
Yes.
Either the family, because they at the end of the day love their kid, will figure it out.
Yep.
Or the kid gets ostracized forever and they have to make a new family.
That's exactly right.
And I identify with that. Thank God I have like this huge family. I've got like basically 3 sets of parents and a whole lot more in addition to that that's even blood related to me. I've got great stepmom, great stepdad, step siblings, all this stuff. So I get to, but I am a black sheep in some of these branches of the family tree, and I have had to work through so much shadow projected onto me, and I'm still in the trenches of that work because of having to, because I just challenged people in my family, you know, like I just challenged them, like they weren't ready for little Morgie and how out of their comfort zone I was going to pull them when I came into this world. And now I understand, and so I can do that reparenting. I can rewrite the narrative of my childhood when like really fucked up shit happened, and it was really just their wounds that they were projecting on me. And so I'm the mirror. I'm for them. I was an opportunity for healing, and maybe I mean I'm not gonna list any names just because I want to respect them, but I have a good idea that I probably have been the catalyst for healing with some of my family members, and I've probably been the catalyst for more rejected aspects than others, you know?
I do know. I can identify with both sides of that, being embraced on one branch and totally ostracized on the other branch. And I think that's important to get in touch with too, because and a lot of that has deep hurt, you know, because when you're a kid you don't get it.
No.
You don't understand what's actually going on. And when you're an adult, your adult self gets it, but your little person inside still doesn't necessarily heal just because you understand it. So like there's a lot of work that you have to do to really break through to that, you know?
And I think I've heard this a number of times, but one of the ways to heal that inner child is by experiencing, being brave, putting yourself out there, trying to relate with others, and trying again to have a healthy relationship. And it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, but like just gently easing your inner child into seeing that, hey, there are healthy relationships possible. Like, you don't have to get ran into the ground. There doesn't have to be chaos. There doesn't have this feeling of rejection. Like, no, it's actually possible to have love and peace at the same time.
Like fighting is not love. Like a lot of people, their inner child, like I've seen this a lot recently, that they grew up with so much chaos and turmoil in the home that they started to associate that fighting was an expression of love. So how do you heal that? You get into a relationship where you learn how to communicate and you don't fight.
Or and maybe like when you do get that like urge when you're in a relationship, try something different. Don't go down that road. Go to a boxing class, you know?
Exactly. Or just figure out how like you said, create new opportunities for exposure. You need exposure, people. That's what you need.
Exactly.
Expose yourself. Read books. Watch movies. Travel. Watch documentaries about other cultures. I don't care what it is. And I don't care if it's a Hallmark movie. I'm serious. And people are like, that's not real. Well, you know what? Who says it's not real? It's not real because you don't feel confident in yourself to challenge yourself to rise to that vibration to make that real.
Oh my gosh.
It can be real. People can be happy. People can love and care for one another. People can share community. People can, it can be real. So whatever you need to see to let your brain create that it can be a different way, do that. Expose yourself. That's because a lot of times, especially as a child, you're very sheltered to what you are brought up with, and that's why it can take so long to undo. The sooner and the quicker you can expose that little kid to what you just said, different, like it's like kind of like going over to dinner at a friend's house when you're a little kid, and you're like, oh, they have a square table,
Oh,
they
yeah.
have a round table, and you just like, what, you know,
Yeah.
like all these things.
Oh, they don't say the blessing before they eat?
Right. Yeah, they're going to hell. You go home, you're like, Mom, Mommy's going to hell. No, I'm just kidding. Like, yeah. So start to expose and just be ready that the more exposure you do, like the quicker that you can get clear with your reflection.
Oh, so I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this or not, but I feel like I found a way to articulate it to match this episode.
Okay.
But I just wanted to talk about our podcast testimony.
Oh.
And so I got introduced to the girl who is about to be in this interview today, talking about her up-level story, by another girl that we interviewed in an earlier episode, Brittany Kanaski. And so Sunday, Brittany introduced me to Cassidy, and then on Wednesday, Madeline and I had a meeting, and the interview was scheduled on a Thursday with Cassidy, but on Wednesday we ended up crossing paths with Cassidy at
our real estate meeting, a totally different meeting.
In a different city.
Yeah.
It wasn't even in Charlotte,
Yeah.
you know? And I recognized her because I saw her social media before I reached out to schedule the interview. And it was like, holy freaking cow.
Yeah.
But where this kind of aligns is just the fact that, like, Brittany, to me, like, we were kind of mirrors in that we are on this tuned to the same frequency and vibration, so much so that Brittany was able to introduce me to somebody 3 days before I was about to cross paths with her anyway.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I guess we should just kind of jump in.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me hear it.
Each week on Manifesting with Morgan and Madeline, we share a story from a listener who used the global pandemic in 2020 as an opportunity to up-level personally and professionally. So, what is your name, age, city, and profession?
So I am Cassidy Sheehan. I am 24 years old. I currently reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. And right now I do a few different things. I am the founder and lead brand strategist for my company, Pop Marketing. And I am also a contract editorial writer for QC Metro.
Cool. So, how did you up-level as a result of the hardships created by the pandemic and lockdown?
Yeah, I think, for a lot of people, the pandemic hit. Number one, no one saw it coming. It was just this storm out of nowhere, right out of the clouds. And I took it really hard, to be honest. My mental, spiritual, physical health definitely declined at the beginning of this pandemic. I lost my job, and I felt more instability than I probably ever felt in my entire life. And I suppose, I never like to refer to myself as somebody that is the best of anything, because I am always growing, I'm always learning, and even though I am proud of where I'm at right now, I know that I will always continue to grow and learn. But I would say how I up-leveled myself was definitely a complete spiritual rejuvenation. I went through 8 months of meditation training to actually become a meditation teacher. And with that, on the other flip side of my spiritual health, I also created my business, Pop Marketing, and was able to contract myself out on different projects and to different clients in the Charlotte area and beyond to keep myself afloat and bring income in when I didn't know how I was going to get anything. It was a really interesting time, but I would say that's probably how I kind of rustled through it to create ideas of how I could continue on.
Totally, and that's really inspiring that you took that scary time and spun it to your probably your highest and best options at the time.
Yeah.
So what were sorry, go ahead.
No, it was, I've never felt more connected to my soul and who I am and what my purpose is than I do right now.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Yeah.
So, what were the circumstances leading up to the pandemic? Were you kind of already considering new options, or were you content with your job? Like, were there other things going on behind the scenes other than just losing your career during the pandemic?
Yeah, it was, my life was rocky initially anyways, leading up to the pandemic, simply because I had just moved to Charlotte about 8 months before the pandemic hit. And I had recently just gotten that position as the marketing and event director for this hospitality group here. And the hospitality group had 2 restaurants. One was in the process of creating itself. It was being built up. They were still working with the city to get permits. So it hadn't been born yet. The concept was there, but they didn't have traffic. The other restaurant did have a lot of traffic, and we were kind of trying to rebrand and reshape and get people in the doors. And so I was just trying to figure out Charlotte. I, at this point, had moved from Chicago, so it was a completely different market, completely different vibe, environment. The way that people operate business in the South is night and day different than the Midwest and Chicago specifically. So I would say, I was at that point in time already on my toes trying to figure things out. And so when I started projecting that, okay, I think this is serious, and I think the pandemic was going to hit, I had already been thinking of different chess moves. How do I get to where I want to go? What are my goals for this city? Who do I want to get to meet? That's kind of the questions that I was asking myself at that point in time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. moving to a new city and then hitting lockdown, and you're not the only person that I've talked to recently that had that same experience. I can't imagine. I moved back to Charlotte because of the pandemic, and that sucks.
Wow.
I can only imagine landing in a new city, and then that's what you have to put up with.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I was still at that point, hadn't made a lot of friends, was still trying to get acclimated, was trying to insert myself in different networking opportunities. And when you're virtual only, you're limited, right?
For sure. Yeah, it's hard to have any real human connection when there's lockdown and everything's virtual. Everything doesn't really feel genuine.
Right. Absolutely. I'm definitely somebody that I have to feel people's energy, and I'm a writer. So, when I write something, I can't just see it in a movie and write about it. I wouldn't be as much of a feeling as if I was there in the moment, in the present time, experiencing it fully, and then able to kind of articulate my thoughts on it. So it was just a different experience for sure.
Yeah, I understand completely. So kind of how did you stay focused and motivated during this transition? Because you did a whole lot of stuff, it sounds like, in a short amount of time. So kind of what was the light at the end of the tunnel, or what did you do to kind of keep your spirit fed during this process?
Yeah, I think as a creative, and I've seen this across the board from different creators, who, when you're struck with moments where you're not sure what to do, you're pressed against the wall. My financial circumstances were on the line. As I was saying earlier, I was dealing with a complete spiritual rejuvenation. I wanted to change certain things about myself that I knew needed love and tender care and things like that, and attention. So I feel like for me, it was just figuring out, okay, Cassidy, what are your goals? What do you want to work on? And how can we do that in a holistic way? Because I'm just a very holistic person. And so it was, how do I figure out how to get through some of these barriers that I know are going to hold me back from the goals that I want? And meditation just broke through every layer of who I am and what my soul is. And I'll never be the same in the best way.
Oh, I love it. You're totally speaking my language 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you've already covered some of the challenges that you faced, but was there anything else that came along, and any valuable tools that you used to kind of overcome some of the curveballs that you faced when you were trying to up level?
Yeah, I mean, being completely transparent, because I always will be. I promised myself this a very long time ago. I have, manic depressive bipolar disorder. And so every day is a fight for me. It doesn't mean that I'm in a bad place, because I don't feel that I am, but anybody who is bipolar and deals with, bouts of depression will understand what I mean by it's a constant effort to feed yourself love and to feed yourself, positive affirmations to continue a healing journey, right? I think a lot of us, all of us, have to heal in different ways. And I think the only way for me to do that at that time and forever will be to tap into myself and to have those hard conversations. And, I started going to therapy. I was taking CBD. I was meditating all the time. I still do. And I feel like that was my recipe to heal and to help myself just get through what I needed to get through so that I could get where I'm at now. And I think everybody, needs to figure out what their wellness recipe is for their life, and be true to that recipe, whatever that is, as long as, you're not hurting yourself, you're, helping yourself. I think everybody needs to kind of figure that out for themselves,
Definitely, and I feel like it also kind of evolves and changes as your life evolves and changes, but finding just getting as many tools in your tool belt as you can to heal and grow and be the best version of yourself is critical.
Yes, I love how you said that, because I agree. I think what I needed 5 years ago and what I need today to continue this journey of healing and loving myself and having, a clear mind and things like that, it does change, and I think that I'm happy that I found meditation, because I do think that's a tool that I'll always have with me when I need to use it.
For sure. And do you think that your professional creative endeavors are healing just because it is aligned with who you are and your interests?
Of course. I think any artist, any creative, anything you put out there, I don't care if, you're a painter or you're a content creator, you're a writer, whatever, anything, aligns with you internally. And if you're in an ugly place internally, I'm not sure how you could produce your best, most authentic work, because you're not aligned with who you really are inside. And so it's been a beautiful kind of coming home ceremony internally for me, because I feel so connected with my inner child, and I haven't felt that way in a really long time.
I'm so happy for you. That's
you.
I want as many people in this world to have that feeling, because it's incredible to feel like you're connected with your truth and in your power.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's just euphoric. I people will tell me now, oh, Cassidy, you're glowing lately. You're glowing, like you just look so happy. And I think the word happy is problematic, because happy comes and goes. And I think so many people think it's just a destination that we reach and then we just stay there, but we don't. you know? And I know there are going to be so many times in my life where I fall back into a depression and I'm sad and I feel pain and I'm tired and I feel, you know, lost. I'm sure I'll have those trials again. And I guess the beautiful part about just connecting with yourself authentically is knowing no matter what happens or what comes my way, I've got me, you know?
Oh, I love it.
I've got me.
Yeah, it's a special feeling.
Well, the last question I have for you is, what were major lessons that you learned that you think may help others, or just any suggestions you have in general in life? It doesn't even have to, you know, necessarily come from this specific story, but just share your wisdom.
Yeah. Well, I think it just depends on what it is, right? For me, I just try to appreciate life. You know, when I was 20 years old, I tried to commit suicide and I was hospitalized. And it was this complete transformation and out of body experience for me. And I think if I could share anything with anyone, it would be that if you're dealing with pain, if you're dealing with past trauma or current trauma, if you're dealing with, you know, imposter syndrome and trying to connect to your identity, I think my best advice is just know that the answers are inside of you. It may feel like the outside world has all the answers that you just want to possess, but it's not that way. I think deep down, we need to trust ourselves more and just love ourselves more. And I think also people say, well, what does it mean to love yourself? You know, does it mean that I just look in the mirror and every day I think, oh, you're so beautiful and I just like love you? Like, no, I mean, for me, loving myself is and this is just for me. So, you know, I think it's different for everyone, but it's taking the time to meditate and be in silence and just connect with my soul. It's getting up in the morning and going to the gym because I know my mind will be clearer and I know my mental health is better when I do work out and I do exert energy. You know, and writing for me, you know, this is the easiest way for me to connect my soul and to articulate it is through writing, is through written word. And so I poured and manifested into writing more because I knew this is my outlet and this is my way to help people also speak through themselves. And so I guess my advice is just, let's love each other more. Let's love ourselves more. And let's just pour, you know, positive, good energy into the world because we need it. We need it.
I love it, and I agree completely, and I really appreciate your honesty and opening up about personal things. I think that takes courage, and so I commend you.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, I remember when this first happened to me and I was hospitalized, I remember my family coming to me and they were coming with a place of love, and just saying, you know, Cassie, I don't think you should tell anybody about this. I don't think you should, you know, share anything online about this situation because people are going to judge you. And what if, you know, you don't get a job someday because, you know, this happened to you? And the list went on of concern and doubt. And I looked to my family and I said, I love you guys and I appreciate your concern and trying to protect me and my story. But anything in life that is meant to align with me will appreciate me for everything that I've been through. And it was this moment of clarity for me that anything that is for me is meant for me. And if not, that's okay. And it's just not going to exist in my surroundings. It's not going to be in my life. And I think the more we talk about just the vulnerability of humanity and life, then we will be more connected. People will feel more appreciated and seen in their own skin. And that, for me, I believe is why I'm here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. That's just absolutely 100% aligned with the message from this podcast. I know we just met and connected, so you haven't had a chance to listen, I'm sure, but I really appreciate you. I feel like, once again, we've manifested the right person at the right time to have a conversation with. So thank you so much for your time.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I just feel blessed, and I know you're a child of light as well, so it's good to meet you and to know you. I'm very excited to get to know you better.
Definitely.
She's a rock star.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Like, you don't have any idea until you really hear it.
I know.
Like, you think you know, but you don't really know. And, I mean, I didn't have a clue. Like, she's a total stranger to me, so to hear all that, I'm like...
We got a new friend.
Yeah. Seriously, she's 24?
Yeah.
Take me back.
That gives me so much faith in humanity.
Right? Can we clone her and duplicate her and, like... mass produce her and send her out into the world. Her spirit, and like I love that I like got to meet her in person. It was brief. I didn't like get time to I wasn't able to spend time with her, but she definitely had a vibe.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yeah. I love that she said, I have me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all the answers are within.
She had so many like good, like heavy hitting
one-liners.
Yes.
Yeah, for real. But this week's topic for I have me, like the mirror.
Yes.
I have myself. That's it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something real quick. I know we need to wrap up, but I was thinking about while she was talking, gosh, I'm gonna lose it. How if you want, the heavy hitting one liner to speak, like, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes.
I mean, that's what this week is.
I mean, that's what this whole podcast
exactly
is.
But like this week really highlights if you feel voided in love, if you feel void in your shadow, any places that you're feeling a void, that you're in need of filling, you have to give that out in order for you to get it.
Yes.
It's already in you.
It's to like bring it back out. And relationships can help give you a little opportunity to see where you are missing things that only you can add back.
Only you. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the Creator has given us everything within.
Yes.
Like she said. And if you feel like, I want to be loved, I want to be this, I want to be that, guess what? Look at yourself in the mirror, understand that you already have it within you, and then start to give it.
Yes.
And that will heal you.
But trying to get it.
You can't try to get it.
You don't have kids so you can have somebody to love you and take care of you forever. You don't get a boyfriend or girlfriend so that you can have somebody love you.
Oh my gosh.
It's the inside out kind of thing.
That's so valuable. And I ask some of my friends will ask me about having children, and I'll ask them, they're contemplating or thinking, and I'll say, well, why? Like, why do you want to have kids? Why? And I love what you just said, because sometimes those answers do. I want to, carry on,
I don't want to die alone.
Like, oh wow, okay. Well, we might need to think about having kids then.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about like a couple little things, just kind of what to do with this information.
Okay.
And one thing with the relationships and mirrors is just kind of look at patterns in your relationships, not just romantic. We got to get past that, It's like your parents, your relationship with your coworkers, your relationship with your friends, all the relationships. Start to look at patterns, and then start looking at what's working and what isn't working. And for the stuff that doesn't work, that you seem to, especially like patterns, that means there's repetition.
Right.
Start to look for the patterns that are repeating in your relationships across the board and across your life, time as well, and start to pinpoint what those patterns are, and then start to retrace the root, and then or start to try to reprogram. And that's either the exposure therapy thing that you're saying about like going in and doing the thing differently the next time around, kind of, or meditating and going back to that child, that moment in time in your childhood, and rewriting that narrative and breathing new life into whatever traumatic moment happened. That modeling, like if you saw a chaotic family, get into a meditative state and just focus on rewriting that narrative. Give yourself a new childhood. Picture being born into a loving environment.
Oh wow, that's some good stuff right there. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and like really the only other thing that I had to say about just what to do with this information is shadow work.
You gotta do it.
And
don't avoid it.
But it's so cool. Like we get this like kind of like cheat sheet, or this like life hack. It's like, okay, relationships are like a good way. It's like triggers show me my shadow. Relationships show me my shadow. And we heal that, and then all of a sudden our self-love goes up, and we can up our vibes and attract more. And
yeah, exactly. I mean those things that are like, I'm telling you, when you connect on that next level with somebody, like once you've kind of started to heal, and the first couple relationships are encounters. They don't even have to be relationships. It could be an encounter with someone.
Yeah.
The first couple encounters that you have after that work starts to penetrate, it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like, what?
It's
like,
gonna have like a more richer, like robust. It's gonna be a bigger experience, you know.
It can be something like the cashier at the
exactly.
grocery store.
But I'm saying, it's like
you're gonna,
richer.
Yeah, you're gonna walk like you're gonna float away.
Yes,
because it is gonna be. I like that word, robust.
But that's what the point. Like, yes, we are trying to manifest our best lives. We're gonna keep getting more and more material things, but that's not what this is about. It's about like the love, being a vessel of love. And for us, like we have our unique interests and talents and gifts, and we can be blessed with material things so that we can bless ourselves and bless others, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's why we get the blessings, is because we bless others with the blessings.
Yes.
I mean, it's a gift economy. It's knowing that, you know, the only reason and the only purpose of those gifts is to have more to give.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's that. Relationships as mirrors.
I feel like we should like close this with some Justin Timberlake.
No, thank you.
It's like in the mirror. No.
Have a great day.
Bye. Oh, that's great. Oh.